Next on the itinerary is a speech to be delivered by no individual than someone that I admired so much. Someone that usually, when I sit with my friends, we talk about him because he has been light to us too. He is no other person than Mr. Lamin Jarjou. Lamin Jarjou is a senior program officer and the national coordinator of the UNESCO Associated School Projects Network at the Gambia National Commission for UNESCO. He serves as a desk officer for culture with a teaching certificate from the Gambia College. Mr. Jarjou taught at Brikama Upper Basic School before becoming a graduate teacher at Bottrop and after getting a degree in English and Development Studies. Lamin would go on to become a teacher trainer at the Gambia College before joining the NATCOM over a decade now. He is both UNESCO Republic of Korea and UNESCO People's Republic of China fellow who he undertook training in education for international understanding EIU and communication studies respectively at Asia Public Center of Education for International Understanding and Haozang University, I hope I pronounced it right. Haozang University of Science and Technology. He is currently pursuing a master's degree in educational administration and management. Lamin has supervised and coordinated the implementation of many cultural projects since his engagement at the National Commission for a little over half a decade now. Some of the projects mainly participation program based will include culture kits, motion picture art certificate, formulation of the national culture policy of the Gambia, entrepreneurship training in support of culture and creative industry development in the Gambia, setting up a small creative business for women and youth, and many others. At the community level, Lamin is an active community member. He emerges in coordinating at both the village and district levels. As a culture and sports enthusiast, he is among the organizers of the annual Katong International Festival and the Walk for Health routine exercise of the Katong chapter. His health mantra is, all healthy habits starts with regular exercise. You see why I said I look up to him? Mr. Jarjou, the stage is yours. And I would love how you inspired me. You speak to them and inspire the people too. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to my mom on the high table, Auntie Tida Jarjou. Good evening, Rachel, whom I have had the pleasure of working with over several initiatives at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Auntie Ramatullah Othman is an auntie of everybody and is also an author, for those of you who might not know. Auntie Ramatullah Othman has authored several books, and is also a beacon of hope and also a repository of culture as far as the Aku culture is concerned in the Gambia here. For Mike, I used to call him Uncle Mike because I have heard several people call him Uncle Mike, but I have worked with him on several curriculum initiatives in the country. And Michael, like many people have said before, actually is a household name. Michael Hamadiseka can be remembered for authoring many books, and also very active on Facebook because he does, I think, a weekly posting of poetry and also short stories, and is very active as far as the Base culture is concerned. Uncle Mike, keep it up. And I've seen that he wrote the preface of the two books. So in the house, I cannot start my speech without paying homage to the teachers in the room. My speech, I would like to observe the presence of the Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament in our midst. Honorable Sidi Jai is here. Welcome, sir. Um, like I was saying, I have to pay homage to the teachers. Obviously, wherever I speak, I really like to observe that. There is a Malaysian saying, which I like quoting all the time, that the teacher takes the hand, opens the heart, and touches the mind. How many minds have been minted by teachers in this country? If our country is moving forward, it all started with teachers. It's the wisdom of our parents to put us in school, but it takes the teachers to mold our mind to become who we are. So respect to all the teachers. Auntie Patience Sanko Gara, Sister Jara, and Patience Sanko Godwin, we pay our respect to you. And we have the CEO of the teachers here, SSO is here. Yes. Of course, they are managing the teachers for us. And we know there are sometimes turbulent times, but they manage to weather the storm all the time. Thank you for being with us here. Now, as I speak here today, I speak as a fulfilled individual, fulfilled teacher, because Raki is so dear to my heart for two things. You will see it in my speech. But all protocols duly observed. Let me start my speech formally. I want to start this statement by saying that the author for whose book launching we are gathered here for is not only my student back then at the college. Raki is a sister. I have shared the same class with her brother Ibu. Ibu was intelligent at school and was very analytical. Their mom, who is seated here today, I have had the pleasure of meeting on several occasions as a teacher. She is a very forthgoing and never giving up woman. She had studied late up to her retirement. Such was the inspiration of a mom. If she would not give up on going to school, why would her kids? And why should they not travel the academic lane? For the past 4 days, we were engaged with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education in the mid-term review of the Education Policy 2016-2030. And one of the presenters who did a technical paper on access and equity was our former Minister of Education, Honorable Anteres Nongjata. She said that a leader should have 2 sets of 3 qualities, among others. In other words, these were 3 A's and 3 B's. The 3 A's were alertness, anticipation, and analytical power. And the 3 B's were bravery, boldness, and brains. I haven't read the works of Raki yet, but having gone through the prefaces, I can tell that she doesn't lack in any of these 3 qualities. And she is a leader not only because she is a teacher and mother, but simply because of her authorship. She has implanted herself in the literary space of this country, and by extension, Africa and the world at large as a leader. Raki, keep it up. Now I want to be a little academic and say that writers have a primary function to their constituents. I am going to quote Sekou Kamara, another Gambian author, who also cited the renowned African novelist Chinua Achebe in his essay, The Novelist as a Teacher. This was written in 1965. The African writer cannot be excused from the task of re-education and regeneration that must be done. Achebe outlined the functions of the writer as a historian rescuing its past, a critic analyzing its present, and as a mentor helping to guide its towards the future. Sekou would continue to say, it therefore becomes a moral responsibility and even a duty for the African writer to be accountable to his or her society. I want to say that through her writings, Raki embarks on this Herculean task, but a worthy one for that matter, to re-educate us, the Gambian society, about our own society. You know why? Because she writes literature, and the primary function of literature is to make the familiar unfamiliar. I want to stop a little at this point and read an excerpt from this book called The Song of Lawino and Song of Ochol by Okot Bitek. Okot Bitek was a Ugandan writer, and The Song of Lawino and The Song of Ochol, this book is like a conversation between a husband and a wife. The Song of Lawino, the excerpt is from the Song of Lawino. And he says, actually, adornments are old-fashioned and unhealthy. He says, I soil his white shirt. If I touch him, my husband treats me as if I am suffering from the don't touch me disease. He says that I make his bed sheets dirty and his bed smelly. Ochol says, I look extremely ugly when I am fully adorned for the dance. When I walk past my husband, he hisses like a wounded Ororo snake. Choking with vengeance, he has vowed that he will never touch my hands again. My husband, is it love with Tina, the woman with the large head? Ochol dies for Clementine. Ochol never sleeps for the beautiful one who has red. When the beautiful one with whom I share my husband returns from cooking her hair, she resembles a chicken that has fallen into a pond. Her hair looks like the python's discarded skin. They cook their hair with hot iron and pull it hard so that it may grow long. Then they rope the hair on wooden pens like a billy goat brought for the sacrifice, struggling to free itself. Now, if you listen to this excerpt, you would see that there is a struggle of a traditional woman with a man who has taken to the urban life and taken to the Western ways and has discarded the traditional woman because he's aspiring to become a Westerner and have taken the literate wife or the educated wife as the best, forgetting that maybe he has struggled with the traditional wife back home in the village then. So this is what literature does. It makes the familiar unfamiliar. And I have seen that going through the preface of Raki's books. Literature educates. It makes it a poignant and drives the point home. Literature educates or re-educates us. What writers write is always with us or has always been with us. Raki, I stand here as a fulfilled teacher and say that you have shown me and many through whose hands you have passed through that we did not labor in vain. I will not end this statement without also making reference to Dr. Lenry Leopold Wilfred Peters, father of Gambian literature. What he had asked was very simple. It is time that political leaders recognize the full value and functions of writers and artists within their communities if we are not to produce sterile societies, faceless societies from which the well-famed joy of life of the black race has been crushed, even eliminated. Doers and thinkers must work together to fashion a healthy, integrated, impregnated mess of social conscience. Peters would end. It shows that politicians and the artists must work together. And when we say artists here, they are the thinkers. The doers are the politicians. They must come together to make sure that we have a country that is functioning. The thinkers are the artists, and their ideas matter to make sure that our communities work. So with this, I rest my case and congratulate you, Raki. Thank you. Oh my God, sorry. Thank you.